Then 2 years later than promised, I'm going to deliver a Spyderco Chaparral review. We're going to get up close and personal. So you can tell that I'm not just reviewing something that I bought or was given. I'm going to show it to you dirty first. You see the little bit of rust or scabbies. Pivot's dirty. Let me get this thing apart so you guys can really see. I'm gonna spare you the disassembly video. I never like watching those. And just cut to the chase. You've got two T8s holding your scale on. Two T6s that hold your actual frame on. Take those off, pops right apart. Inside, you can see that's your Chaparral's guts. Got your spring for your back lock. We're going to try to open it up without it flying apart so you can see how a back lock works. Don't disregard. Let's try that again. Attempt number 2. Let's use 2 hands this time. But as you can see, the tooth locks into the cutout in the blade. And you see something funny about this particular knife, this particular back lock, compared to any other back lock I've really seen. You've got a stop pin. It's captured in your frame. So instead of relying on this section of your blade and how it interfaces with your lock bar to keep it from moving too far in this dimension, you've got an actual cutout and a stop pin. And just to reiterate again, this knife is several years old. It has been carried a lot, has a lot of use on it, and it's holding up really well. As proof, see if it'll show up. Meh. CPM S30V. They're all CTS XHP now, I believe. Like this guy, which is newer. That's the titanium Chaparral. Let me get the first one, the carbon fiber one, all cleaned up. We'll take her a little further apart and go from there. Now your pivot is a D shape. I just have it set in the scale. It comes out. But it interfaces in your scales, or your liners, I'm sorry, so that you don't have to have 2 separate T8s to take this apart. Because this side that's captured, it'll be held by the scales. The knife runs on phosphor bronze bushings, washers, that I need to run on the strap a little bit. They're a little janky looking. Much better. Now that you've seen it all torn apart, I'm going to put it back together, and then we'll go over our more formal review from there. These are D-shaped threaded inserts as well that go there and there. Pins in, put a little drop of oil of your choosing where your lock bar is going to go. That's your other, also D-shaped, where it interfaces into the frame. Set your threaded standoff in there. Before I put this on, I do want to point out, in a very un-Spyderco-like fashion, focus, the big gnarly burr right there. That guy sets on there. Then your spring sets inside of it. This next step is very important, by the way. Make sure you forget where you leave your D-shaped pivot when you leave it inside of your scale. Just for a minute, not for long. Just for a second. Put a little bit of oil. Washer. Blade on top. It is nearly impossible to get your lock bar rocker on with one hand in front of the camera. Don't try it. But from there, there's a cleaner look at it. That's the inside of your Chaparral. Let me finish assembling it real quick. Hopefully the teardown and up close didn't end up being anything like other reviews that I'd seen, where you sit there and get annoyed at watching somebody take a knife apart and put it back together and struggle bust every one of the screws, etc. Back together. Cutting edge 60 millimeters. The entire edge is about 71 millimeters, so 2.75, 2.8 inches. Blade itself is about 2 millimeters thick. The handle scale itself is about 8 millimeters thick. The entire knife. Give you a nice close-up. Don't mind my ugly hands. The tolerancing on this knife is pretty ridiculous. Even I've been a mechanic, so I'm familiar with machining of various sorts from mills to lathes, CNC, you name it. That is well toleranced and must be finished when it's already completely assembled, because that pretty much looks like one piece of steel. Even though, as you saw, the centerpiece is separate. Even the lock. The lock has slight gaps, but that's gonna happen. You can see how far your lock comes up. Jimping on this knife it looks more aggressive than it is. It's not bad. This isn't the type of knife that jimping really matters on. It would be pretty much just as good without any jimping. And as you saw earlier, this is CPM S30V. As good as any S30V I've ever had from Spyderco, with my fairly well-worn Edge Pro Apex edge on it. The handle itself, the scales, are G10 with a carbon fiber laminate. I know there's a lot of controversy around that. They don't look cheap. There's no blatant line as to where one material starts and the other stops, and it doesn't look bad. The edges are beveled, which adds to the good feel in hand that this knife has for everything. Focus, okay. Everything aside from the lock bar. The lock bar is a little bit thin. It's about 2 millimeters, so the same as the blade stock. And it has to depress fairly far, and it's got a good amount of spring to it, so it's a little uncomfortable, but nothing crazy. This isn't a knife that you're going to sit there like an Axis lock folder and open and close and open and close while you're watching TV. That's not what this is for. This is for the same purpose as the first knife that I reviewed, the Spyderco Dragonfly, just being an unobtrusive, not going to scare anybody off, easy to carry, nice, thin, lightweight. I think this is just I know it's under 3 ounces. Let me check. It is 2.5. But anyway, you can find all that information online on every other video. Well, I'll give you some size comparisons. There's your Chaparral. The first knife I ever reviewed, and only other knife I've ever reviewed, Dragonfly. Hold them up side by side, butt to butt. The Chaparral is probably, it's pretty much exactly the same thickness as the Dragonfly. The actual handle itself. Yeah. Got the same nice wire pocket clip the Dragonfly comes with. Black. Spyderco uses, I think it's similar to Benchmade's Parkerized finish that they used to use on their clips back before they put that trash on there, like Spyderco puts on Delica pocket clips. Same trash. But now that you've seen this, every which way to Sunday, let's go to its titanium brother. I've already taken the the T8s out. One solid scale. Same principle for the stop, which mine has 0 blade play. Either of these, they both have no blade play. Side to side, up, down, nothing, no wiggle. This has no blade play, just as that one doesn't. But I don't like that your stop is relying on titanium. Titanium's a soft material. It's strong for its weight, but it's soft. It's like in the 40s for HRC, mid to upper 40s. So it can deform relatively easily. So I'm pretty sure over time that'll wear and you might get a little bit of lock rock front to back. But this is the exact same setup. Exact same setup as the carbon fiber one. And you can see she's dirty inside too. This one's been used as well. This one's got a hand done edge on it. And we're back together. This is when the titanium one first came out. It's not that stepped, like ziggurat looking deal. It's like the stealth plane triangles, but you can see, hopefully, all the milling that went into this. It's a very expensive piece to make, these scales are, let alone the fact that they're made out of titanium, which is not a cheap material. Now you can tell that there's a backspacer in this one versus the carbon fiber. You couldn't really. And that's, in my opinion, solely because you have dissimilar metals. So they're actually a different color. The titanium is slightly more yellow and brassy, and the stainless steel backspacer is more glossy and silver. I got carried away and didn't do size comparisons. So here is a Spyderco Manix 2, the 154 cm Saber Ground version. Comparison. The good part about the Chaparral, Kershaw knockout. We'll do a Buck Vantage Force Pro, I think this one is. This one's funny in that you've got a big knife, right? You've got a small knife. Look how much my hand fits on there, right? My hand fits on the Chaparral just the same. If you use up to the choil, you've actually got more real estate to hold on to in a Chaparral. That's the same story for even a ZT066, the stainless version, because I'm cheap / poor. Benchmade Striker has significantly less real estate. It's like a Benchmade Mini Griptilian right here, where you can barely get your size large gloved hands on there. Last size comparison is going to be a Kaiser Tangram knife, which I'm going to review. I like this knife. It is a $30 on Amazon Prime. Deep carry pocket clip with Kudo steel, so 440 maybe B or C grade. Holds up pretty well. Review of this one is coming soon. Anyway, sorry for the crappy production value, and for all the rambling, and for this video being over 16 minutes long, but I just wanted to try something different and give you close-ups, in-depth, torn apart without watching a teardown video, even though it ended up being pretty much just as long as the teardown video. Let me know in the comments what knife you want to see next. Like, comment, and subscribe, please.